Well, hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Roger's Reads. And today I'm going to go over my April TBR, so all of the books that I plan on reading in the coming month. And the first book on my list is The Sidekicks by Will Kostakis. Now this book is one of the finalists for the young adult category of the Lambda Literary Awards, which takes place on June 4th. Also called the Lammies. Actually, I think the Twitter hashtag is Lammies or Lammy. So each year, I try to work my way through the finalists. And regretfully, this is only the first one that I've started reading this year. So this follows three boys who lost their best friend. And in so doing, they find each other. And by lost, I mean their friend passes away. Now, I know that one of the boys is gay, but nobody else knows, not even his closest friends. And I believe the story is told in three parts, probably from the point of view of each of the main three characters in the story. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So the next book I hope to read is Philip Pullman's latest novel entitled The Book of Dust. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is a prequel to his Dark Materials trilogy. I believe this follows a young boy named Malcolm who ends up turning into a spy, and supposedly there's this extremely dangerous substance called dust. And Malcolm has to rescue a baby infant girl named Lyra, who is prophesied to be an important person in the coming struggle between freedom and oppression. So this sounds really good, and one that I'm looking forward to reading. So the next book on my list is called We Now Return to Regular Life by Martin Wilson. Now, this book is another young adult finalist for the Lambda Literary Awards. And this story follows Sam, who returns home after 3 years of captivity. He was kidnapped one day. So one day he just disappeared, and everybody assumed that he was dead. So all of a sudden he shows up. And his return throws his sister Beth's life into turmoil as she wrestles with guilt. Also feeling guilty is his friend Josh, who never told the police everything he knew about the kidnapping. Sam's recovery, I guess, is told from the points of view of Beth and Josh. And as Sam begins confiding in Josh, maybe letting him know what happened to him, I think, Josh finds himself falling in love with Sam. So supposedly there are a lot of secrets that come out in this book about who or what was responsible for Sam's kidnapping. So it sounds like an intriguing read. And that is, we now return to regular life. The next book I want to read is entitled The Wicker King. And this is by Kay Ankrum. Now, this book caught my eye at the library, and it sounded really intriguing. And I knew absolutely nothing about this book when I picked it up. So let me read you the blurb. August is a misfit with a pyro streak, and Jack is a golden boy on the varsity rugby team, but their intense friendship goes way back. It's something they keep for themselves, and they rely on each other for survival. When Jack begins to see increasingly vivid hallucinations, August decides to help Jack the only way he knows how, by believing him, and believing in the fantasy kingdom that creeps into the edges of the real world. Jack leads August on a quest to fulfill a dark prophecy, and together they alienate everyone around them as they struggle with their sanity, free-falling into a surreal fantasy world that feels made for them. In the end, each one must choose her own truth. Doesn't that sound good? So that's a book I hopefully will get to in April. The next book on my list is entitled After the Blue Hour by John Recchi. Now, this book is another finalist for the Lambda Literary Awards, but this time it's in the adult fiction category. Now, what's funny is I read John Recchi's first novel, City of Night, like 30 years ago when it first came out. At least I think that was his first novel. If it's not his first novel, at least it was a very popular novel by him. So anyway, I was really surprised to see his name pop up on the Lambda finalists list. And I believe he's about 85 years old now. So now this book is one that sounds kind of strange. After the Blue Hour is narrated by a 24-year-old writer named John Ritchie, the same author as this book. Though I do believe that the book is fictional and not autobiographical, so I'm kind of curious to see what that's all about. So, in the book, John accepts an invitation to a private island by an admirer, Paul. At some point, Paul shares intimate details of his life and reveals an affinity for dangerous games. So supposedly, the games they begin to play, or Paul begins to play, veers toward violence. And there are several unexpected twists, turns, and surprises in this book, leading to an explosive confrontation. So it sounds really good, and I'll be sure to do a review of this book when I finish it. Next book on my list is Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. So I'm rereading this book as part of the Rereadathon challenge from Michael over at the Catalyst Reads channel. And I'll put a link down to his channel below. For April, the challenge is to reread a book that confused you or that you had mixed feelings about. For that, I'm choosing this book, Catcher in the Rye. Now, I remember having to read this in school way back, but for whatever reason, I don't believe I ever finished it. Maybe I couldn't get into it or something, so I figured that this would be a good one to read for that challenge. The next book is City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. I'm going to try and read the next book in the Mortal Instruments series and come April. I reread the first one in March. I actually read the first one, maybe even the second one, several years ago. And I liked the book so much that I ended up buying the rest of the series. But I really never got around to reading them for whatever reason. So that is my goal this year, is to finish the Shadowhunter series. I'm aiming for one of them a month. I don't want to read them one right after another so as not to get burned out on them. Maybe that's what happened last time. Maybe I read two of them right in a row, and I'm just like, put them down for a while and never got back to them. So I'm spacing them out as I add one per month. So the last book I'm reading in April is entitled Thundercloud by Neal Shusterman. This is the sequel to Scythe, a book I read, or should I say listened to, in March. I purchased this one on Audible as well because the first one was so well done. I really love the narrator. I've actually begun listening to it already, but it's like 13 hours long, so hopefully I will finish it in April. I also did a review of the first book in this series on this channel, and that was Scythe, as I mentioned. So that's 8 books for April. So far this year, I've been averaging about 13 or 14 books a month, but I figure I'd aim more on the conservative side and shoot for 2 books a week. I'll try to squeeze in some book reviews of the ones that I really like, but I'll also talk about each of the book briefly during my April wrap-up at the end of the month. So have you read any of these books? If so, what were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you're planning on reading in the coming month. And that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.